Hi, this is Dan. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. I just wanted to do a quick video today about the Wizard of Oz, um, and how much really a piece of Americana is. It's really interesting with the Wizard of Oz because it was so popular, and it is so popular. Uh, and it came out in 1939, black and white, except for black and white for part of it, color for the other part. It was a time when the country was trying to come out of the Great Depression, so they needed some encouragement and hope, and that is a lot of what the Wizard of Oz is about: is encouragement and hope. Uh, the cast, they made some changes in the cast. Originally, Ray Bolger was cast to be the Tin Man, and Buddy Ebsen was cast to be the Scarecrow, because the producers thought that Buddy Ebsen's dancing led more towards being the Scarecrow, his dance style. But Ray Bolger really wanted to be the Scarecrow, saying that his dance style was more towards the Scarecrow. So they approached Buddy Ebsen, who was happy to change parts, and he kind of taught Buddy Ebsen taught Ray Bolger some steps for dancing as a Scarecrow, and then he was all set to play the Tin Man. And unfortunately for Buddy Ebsen, they were using makeup with aluminum flakes for the Tin Man's costume. The flakes coated his lungs, and he was in the hospital for a couple of weeks, very seriously ill, having a lot of trouble. Um, and he had to drop out of the movie. Um, so that's what he did. He was just too ill. They hired instead, oh, I can't remember who played the Tin Man. I think it was Jack something. Um, he got hired to play the Tin Man, and he wasn't told why Hutchinson left the part. He just assumed that he got fired, so he took over the part. They modified the makeup so it wasn't a problem for him. They wanted to cast Shirley Temple as, or she was under consideration for being Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, but her singing was not what they wanted, and Judy Garland was felt to have more experience, so she got hired to play Dorothy. Bert Lahr, who had been a uh, burlesque comic, played the Cowardly Lion. The production was incredible if you think about it. The sets, especially for Munchkinland and other sets, were very involved. The Munchkinland set looks like it's pretty big. The story, of course, starts out in Kansas, where Dorothy is running into trouble with Miss Gulch, who shows up in a later role in the movie, and Toto, and she's all mad at Toto because she doesn't like him at all, and is going to take him to the sheriff to have Toto killed. Basically, Toto runs away and runs off with Judy Garland, who feels un who feels misunderstood by those on the farm. Um, she comes back, and they have the Twister hit, and she is inside the house. The rest of the family is down in the storm cellar, calling for Dorothy, but she does not get back in time, so she's in the house. A beam, or I think it's the frame of the window, comes off and hits uh, Dorothy in the head, and she has a dream. So the whole part when she's in Oz and the Munchkin Land and the witches and all that, that's all imagined in her dream. And so the house spins, lands in Munchkin Land. And unfortunately for the Wicked Witch of the East, lands right on top of her and kills her. And the Wicked Witch is wearing the ruby slippers, which Dorothy later acquires and is off to see the wizard because she wants to get back home to Kansas. So everything is going fine in Munchkin Land at first, and they're all excited, and the Munchkins are really happy because the Wicked Witches of the East is dead and everything is great. And then all of a sudden, the fly in the ointment, the Wicked Witch of the West, literally pops up from the ground with smoke and fire, and she's all ticked off because her sister is dead, and then she wants the ruby slippers, which Dorothy has, and so the Wicked Witch of the East, West, is saying, "I'm gonna get you, Dorothy, and you took me off, and I can't touch you here in Munchkin Land, but once you're on the way to Oz, I'll get you, I'll get you, my pretty little dog, too," which is one of the famous lines. She leaves Munchkin Land, Dorothy does, and she is off to Oz. A couple things in the Kansas part of the film, which is shot in black and white. Judy Garland as Dorothy sings what would become her most well-known song, like her theme song that was associated with her for the rest of her unfortunately short life, Over the Rainbow, which the studio wanted to cut because they thought it was demeaning that Judy Garland would be singing the song in a barnyard, and they also thought that it made the Kansas part of the video too long. But the director, of which there were 3 directors, one after the other, of The Wizard of Oz, convinced the studio that the song needed to stay in, and it did, because I cannot imagine The Wizard of Oz without Over the Rainbow. So along the way, she meets the Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion and the Tin Men, and they are off to Oz. They arrive in Oz, and they are told that they can't have anything they want, and but before that happens, they arrive in Oz. Everybody's happy to see them, and they're getting them ready to see the wizard, and then the witch, in what I think is one of the most interesting parts of the movie, flies over Oz and flies on her broomstick, and there seems to be this smoke coming out of the back of her broom or whatever, and it says "Surrender, Dorothy," and the people of Oz are like, What the heck? Who's Dorothy? Oh my gosh! What's the deal here? And as anybody would be. And so they go to see the wizard, and the wizard tells them that they can't have anything to go away. And they said, "Oh, we came all this way, and we want something." And so they said, "Well, you can have it, but you need to bring me the broomstick of the Wicked Witch, the broomstick of the Wicked Witch, and they say, but we'll have to kill her for that. And the wizard isn't very concerned about that. He just seems to want to get rid of them. So off they go. Wizard of Oz is an interesting movie. When you watch it as an adult, you see things that you missed as a kid. Lines and dialogue that is pretty funny, that as a kid it kind of goes over your head. So anyway, Dorothy gets swooped up by the flying monkeys. Now I want to talk about the flying monkeys from the Wicked Witch. A lot of people who watched The Wizard of Oz as kids were scared of the flying monkeys. And while, people get scared of anything, me personally, the flying monkeys, they never scared me. I just looked at them and I thought, oh, they're just guys dressed as monkeys and on wires and flying away. That said, the Wicked Witch was terrifying, I thought, especially in a scene where Dorothy is in a room in the Wicked Witch's castle off the Wicked Witch has her, and she says she has an hourglass of sand, and she says, when the sand runs out, I'm going to kill you, which would scare anybody. And the Wicked Witch is just terrifying. I remember as a kid, the Wicked Witch was just like, oh my gosh, what the heck is this? But she ends up dying. The Wicked Witch, against all odds, 4 people find the Wicked Witch. They throw water on her accidentally, and she melts. The poor thing just melts. And her guards, all of her guards that had did not apparently have a tremendous amount of loyalty towards Dorothy, because they're overjoyed. There's this one guard whose claim to fame, I guess, was he's the one who says, "You killed her. You've killed the Wicked Witch, and here's the broomstick," and the guards are all thrilled. It's like, oh man, thanks a lot, and you wonder if the guards are thinking, man, I wish we thought about that whole water thing, and we could have been free forever. In the end, the wizard is actually this guy who is kind of flying a hot air balloon back to Kansas. But as luck would have it, the hot air balloon gets loose and he flies away. And who comes back but the good witch, Glinda, who says to Dorothy, hey, all you have to do is click your heels 3 times and say there's no place like home, and you go home. And at first, their reaction is natural, like, why didn't you tell us that before, before we had to do all this stuff? And Glenn says, oh, you wouldn't have understood it, or we wouldn't have had a movie, or whatever, so, and she ends up back in the house. Now, I know there's a lot of spoilers in there, but I figure almost everybody has seen The Wizard of Oz. So, 2 things I want to say about The Wizard of Oz. One is that it is a movie about hope. And the song Over the Rainbow over the years has become meaningful to so many people and so many populations that it is, hope for people that think, and rightfully so, I think, that, this world is kind of mean and cruel, and there has to be a way surely it can be better than this. Over the Rainbow is of hope. It's speaking of a place over the rainbow where, life works out, where things are as they should be. It's a very hopeful tune. And Wizard of Oz overall is a very hopeful movie, especially in the fact that the Wizard of Oz it's not automatic. I mean, it's not an easy thing that Dorothy and these three people have to encounter the witch and evil and all of this, but somehow they make it through. And the other thing, this is going to be a shorter video. The other thing about Wizard of Oz is that it used to be a big deal back in the days when I was growing up, back in the 70s and the 60s, I'd say late 60s and the 70s. That was before there were umpteen channels on TV. That was before there were like 3 networks, and there would be a few independent channels. And so Wizard of Oz used to be on like once a year, usually around Easter, I think it was usually around Easter it was on. And they used to have hosts. Dick Van Dyke used to host it, and then they had different hosts. But it was a big deal. It was a family get-together time in order to watch this treasured movie. And now, it's good, I guess, that they show it more often, but it just used to be more special. It used to be a special occasion watching this movie. And it's a shame because it's not. But it's still a very good movie. It's not my favorite movie. It's not like my top 10 movies, but it is a true Americana movie. It's part of, it's a highlight of American cinema because so many people like it. It speaks to so many different people on so many levels. And I don't know. I like it and the hope it gives. The downside, there were downsides of it too, is that, unfortunately, this movie was the start of Judy Garland, how she had so many problems with drugs that the studio would feed her. Because, this was a major movie. And she had to basically carry it. I mean, she was the star of this movie at, I think, the age of 16 or 17. And they would shoot for these very long days. And so the studio would feed her pills to give her energy. And then they'd feed her pills to calm her down. And it just kind of was the start of the end for Judy Garland, which was so sad because she was so young. So that's why, for me, the Wizard of Oz also has a twinge of unhappiness too, because it was kind of the start of her issues, and it's a shame. But it's also definitely a piece of Americana. If you haven't seen it, I don't think you live on the planet Earth, because it is, so many people have seen it. And if for whatever reason you haven't seen it, I recommend seeing it again. And if you haven't seen it in a long time, I would watch it and just listen to, or listen for lines and for themes that may have gone over the head of children and that you can relate to more now. So, that's it for now. I think I might be talking more in future videos about, I don't know, I think I might do a video about Keanu Reeves next, or Robert Redford, or like an individual actor, or something like that. Something fun. So, in the meantime, enjoy your Wednesday, and I hope you're doing well, and hang in there. Okay? Bye.